Hey Chismosas! Welcome to the Tell Me Chisme podcast with Maddie and Kim.
Welcome back, guys.
Hi, guys. Long time no see. At least it feels like it's been so long.
Yes, because we skipped a week, right?
Yeah, we skipped a week.
Yes. Do you want to give a little of why?
So I'm still in college, and finals week has had me so stressed, so I just did not have time to be editing our episodes and uploading them, so that is why. So we have them ready, we just had not uploaded them.
Yes, and Kim has the footage on her thing, so we're kind of limited on who has the audio and the footage. Another thing, too, our lighting's going to look different because this is the first time we're filming during daylight. Normally, film at nighttime, which is why we have the ring light. So hopefully the what do you call it? Not the display,
no clue. But also
the lighting isn't so bad, hopefully.
Also, we're using different
editing system this time around.
Hopefully this isn't terrible. But anyways, the topic that we want to talk about this week is how you heal from relationships, like when you break up, and what you would do differently going back.
In terms of healing, or what you would do in the relationship differently?
No, we're going to talk about what you would do different to heal, like looking back now, and not what you would do differently in the relationship. What would you do different now in order to heal faster, sooner? Like, what do you regret doing, you know?
Oh, okay.
So that's what we're talking about. That's
what you regret doing in your healing process.
Correct.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. So do you want me to start out?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I probably don't have as much experience as Madi on this, only because I've only ever been in one relationship. And unfortunately, my relationship did not even make it to a year. I got to about 7 months. But with that being said, me personally, I feel like I had a slight advantage in my first, breakup phase because I wasn't as young. I was 19. Yeah.
That's young.
So but still.
Yeah.
I think I had a slight advantage just because all of my friends had already been through breakups before me. So I feel like I kind of had seen what to do and what not to do. And also Madi had already gone through it too.
I hadn't gone through a breakup at that time.
Oh, true. Psych. Never.
I mean, little ones where we were talking, but not actual
Yeah, but at least for me, I remember when I had firstly broken up by chance. Madi happened to be in town, I think, because Madi wasn't living anymore in Dodge, in our hometown. And I remember breakup happened, and by chance my sister walked in, and I just remember I just cried, and she knew, I think she saw me, she just knew that was the reason. But for me, my healing process, I feel like I was already kind of disassociating myself when I was actively in a relationship. So my healing process, I feel didn't feel as difficult maybe compared to other people's. But for me, I feel my healing was, I wasn't doing what I think stereotypically girls may do, or even guys who were they're woo, I got out of the relationship, I'm gonna go partying, I'm gonna go out. No, I was staying inside, I was taking time to myself, I was just staying really tight-knit with my friends, and honestly just asking them for advice. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel a part of it was me kind of needing that reassurance from my friends, this is the reason why things didn't work out, tell me the truth, no filter, was I wrong? And I feel that's what truly helped me, hearing it from someone else. And I feel I also got that closure because of the person I was with, But I feel that was my healing process. And I feel I didn't feel 100% about it until maybe a year later, where I was yeah, I did the right thing.
Oh, okay.
You?
For me, so I've been in 2 relationships, 2 actual relationships. And the first one, honestly, caught me off by surprise how fast I moved on, mentally and emotionally from it, only because it was almost an 8-year relationship. But the reason I think that I was able to move on mentally from it was, I feel because we dated for so long, I feel after each year the relationship kind of got sealed in a little bow, and it's stored away, happy year, stored away. So I feel the last couple years maybe weren't the best in terms of the relationship. I feel as soon as I cut it off, it didn't seem too much time of actual bad relationship, So I feel mentally, that kind of you said, that for the past, I don't know how much time, I feel I was mentally disassociating myself emotionally, mentally. So I feel when I finally snipped it off, it was okay, I have nothing left to I'm not mourning anything because I'm the one, I'm cutting it off. I'm there's so much to look forward to and everything that I feel I was mentally able to move on from it. Versus my second relationship, I feel because that one was 7 months. I feel like I
Short-lived.
didn't have the whole, like, for example, the year to like wrap it up in a good bow and then store it away.
Yeah.
I feel like those memories were still happening before, boom, it got snipped. So I feel like that's why it left more like a tender sore, you know, because I feel like I didn't get to like you said, mentally, whatever, closure, like wrap it up and then store it away as like a good relationship memory, whatever, you know. I feel like it left like, kind of like when you're like wanting something and they're like psych, you know, and then it gets like ripped off. Like I feel like that's how it, like I said, that left me that little like sore spot, only because I'm like, wait, like I didn't get to store it away, like, you know, with a pretty bow before it ended, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that one, like I said, I'm going on 9 months after that breakup. So I feel like
I'm going on like 2.5 years, I think. So
yeah, so
a little while now.
So I feel like I said, emotionally and mentally, like there's still that little like, dang, like I feel like I didn't get the closure, whatever. But once again, I feel like I'm back in that same mentality of like, there's so much good to look forward to. Like, you know, there's a reason why it ended and things like that. So I feel like for both breakups, I feel like that's the thing that kind of keeps me going in terms of healing. Like there's so much to look forward to. I'm in a good spot, and not that I'm going to say like they had more to lose than me or whatever, but I feel like at the end of the day, like how do I word it? Like, I feel like I've always ended like on the better end of the relationship.
Yeah.
You know, versus like other people that might break up. And like, for example, I think it also depends too, like, you know, like versus people that like a couple that's living together. You know, like that breakup might be a little more life altering. Like
sure.
you take your whole life apart and move and everything. Like,
I mean, I can't say I saw the full picture because I wasn't like living with you the whole time or got to see like 100% of like your healing process. But I feel like from what I do know, I think you took it, I mean, like a champ. I mean, I feel like your first relationship, you started it so young and you ended it like in a way different chapter of your life. Like that was like a relationship you were doing at the same time as like your coming of age.
Yeah.
Versus me, it's like I started at 19, which is I guess late in our society to start your first relationship, and I ended it like still slightly different, but not like a fully new person, you know. So it's like I feel like it wasn't as difficult for me too. Also, might I add, like I think the worst part about it in that moment, like the day that, also we both were the people that broke things off with our partner, right?
with the first one.
Yeah, well, my only one, but
Yeah.
What made it tough for me is that when I decided to break it off, it was, I think, literally like 2 days after my birthday. And that was like, I had like so many birthdays in a row now, like that weren't going good, that I was like, okay, this is the final one. I can't stand to do this any longer. So like I broke it off. And like, I think that's what made it feel worse in the moment, that I was like, oh, I should be happy during this period, but I'm just not, you know? But let's get on to what it is that we like regret doing in our healing process. Like, looking back, is there stuff that you regret?
Maybe me like moving on to dates so fast, because I feel like I gave people chances that I honestly shouldn't have. And I think it was one because I was bored and I was like, you know what, I was like, and because
you moved on in the way guys stereotypically do. You're
no,
like,
literally, yeah. And honestly, like I think it's because it also, I think, was where I was at in my life, like traveling, and I was like in a new contract in a new city where either one, I didn't have friends in the city, or two, like I just didn't see them very often.
Yeah.
And what's a pretty girl to do when you're in a city with nothing to do? And especially me, that I hadn't started doing things on my own. Mm-hmm. I feel like now I'm like, I would have gone to the movies by myself, taken myself out to dinner more. But at that time, I was so used to like doing things with whoever I was dating and stuff, that it was still like an adjustment. You kind of became dependent. Yeah, so that it was an adjustment for me to be able to do things on my own. So I'm like, what's the next best thing? I don't know. Have guys take me out on dates or whatever.
Yeah.
So like I said, I would have gone back and maybe enjoyed my solid, my single, just alone time more, and maybe tried other hobbies and everything other than just go not straight, but like, you know, almost
like putting yourself back out there.
Yeah, putting myself out there pretty soon. So that's something I would do differently. I would enjoy my just alone time and maybe try something like a new hobby or something before I jump back into the dating pool.
Okay, well, I think for me, the first thing I would do differently, as harsh as it's going to sound, I regret not doing it sooner. This is no offense to that person, because I'm still friends, like, and I'm on good terms with my ex. But I think for me, I think I prolonged it more than I should have. I kept like hesitating, like, should I not? And it's like the relief I felt once I did it, I'm like, wow, I should have just done this sooner. I think it would have saved me from like certain like situations, you know, certain things that happen afterwards, you know, had I just cut it off sooner. So that's one thing I regret, because I feel, what's like that one, your friends will always see it before you do. My friends had kind of been telling me for a little bit, like when I say friends, mind you, I'm saying one friend, but I had like this one friend that was, because I had been telling her what had been happening, I feel like she started connecting the dots before I could, because she was obviously seeing it for what it was, and I was still kind of like clouded by what was going on. I feel like she was starting to see like, hey, this is only going downhill, like just end it now. And I so badly was like, no, we can fix it. So didn't happen.
And that's the thing too. I feel like that's a canon event with everybody. Like we can fix it. Let's keep working on it before we break things off. So I feel like that's inevitable for most relationships. You're going to want to save it before you kind of snip it. But you were going to say something that I was going to jump on. Oh, about your friends kind of seeing it before you did. So I saw something, I think on Instagram that was, it was saying when you, something about the lines of like, when you tell your friend, when you're crying over your friend or your boyfriend that you just ended things with, and it says, and they tell you he was a terrible boyfriend to begin with and ugly or something like that. And it's like, now not only are you sad, but you're sad and embarrassed. Embarrassed because you're like, damn, like instead of like helping me out, like now I'm just embarrassed that like I even one, like shared it with you, and two, the fact that
I mean, jumping off of that, something like we can cut this out in case Mari ends up not liking this. Ooh. Guess we'll find out if you guys see a jump cut.
Gosh.
But after, I'm not gonna say which relationship, but let's just say Mari had a relationship, and I remember when she was actively in it, I didn't really say anything about the relationship, but it wasn't until after things got broken off that I was like, I knew like from the beginning it wasn't going to be endgame. But I didn't want to say anything in the moment, because I'm like, she has to find that out for herself. Like, who am I to say anything? But I did tell her afterwards, I was like, I didn't see it going, like, you know?
Yeah.
So that's like a crazy thing too. I don't know.
And okay, one thing too, let us know. Should Kim have told me? Would you tell your friend?
Depends. Okay, here's the thing. I didn't think it was severe enough to say. I think it was more so like, I see this as like a little chapter in her life. Like, this is just the era she's in. I didn't think it was like horrible. Like, the reason wasn't like horrible to be like, dude, you're in a toxic situation. Like, it was nothing like that. I was just kind of like, like that person's just not the fit for you. That's why I was like, I'm just gonna let it play out, you know? Yeah.
So let us know. Should you tell your friend this isn't the relationship for them and to cut it off,
or just let them go through that canon event? I don't know. There's some canon events that I feel like are kind of meant to happen. Like, that's why you're able to take certain like experiences and take it to the next one, you know? Like, for example, that one, I feel like you somewhat learned. I'm not going to say everything that, you know, happened, but I think it did kind of, like, I will say your last relationship, from the way you spoke to me about it, I feel like in a way humbled you, because there were certain things that you learned about yourself that no one else had told you yet. At least you hadn't heard, like, not from me, like from your partner. Mari has, you know, like there were certain things. I'm not gonna say what, but
do you want me to say
it?
Sure.
Okay, there were certain things that Mari would do before that, like, maybe I would call her out, but I was like, okay, that's just sibling stuff. Like Mari taking maybe something too far, or like stereotypically Latinas being like mean, or like, you know, like kidding around with someone, but then it turning mean. Mari had finally dated someone that was telling her like, hey, like that actually was kind of mean, and Mari was like, I was just kidding, you know?
That is true. And I'm not gonna lie, I catch that with my parents all the time. Like, I was telling my mom all the time, I was like, Mom, I was like, the way you and my dad act, I'm like, I've kind of learned how to love the way I see my parents.
That's our norm.
Yeah, and I'm like, maybe it's good for their relationship, but I also can't accept. I also have to accept that not everyone is going to like being treated like that. And to me, it's completely normal, and it's completely like safe and loving and playful and, you know, like banter. Mm-hmm. But then I have to realize some people have boundaries, and some's like, actually, I don't like when you say that, or actually, I don't really like when you call me that, or whatever.
Something else I want to add on. I don't know about you guys, like how close it is that you guys are with your parents. I don't know if your guys' parents ever like got involved with your relationship, but like actually spoke to you about your partner or whatever they thought about them. One thing I kind of regret not doing is, I think, talking to my mom more about my relationship earlier on. I feel like my mom, I mean, still to this day, like I think she asks a lot about my ex, but anyways, that's not the point what I'm getting at. I'm just saying, like, there are certain things that I'm like, I feel like my parents probably did let me know by little comments, like what they thought of that person. But I feel like, not that I like didn't listen to it at all, but I think I was just like, well, I'm the one that's in it, you know, like they don't know them, you know? So like, whatever. But with that being said, I think had I spoken to my mom earlier on about certain things that were happening, or maybe even like minor problems, I really genuinely believe that my mom could have maybe helped me overcome some of them. Like just little communication stuff or arguments, stuff like that I just wasn't sure of. One more thing I want to add. I think it came to a surprise to my parents when I got into my first relationship, like actual first boyfriend, because for years, you know how like Hispanic parents are like, ya tiene novia, ya tiene novio. Like before I was ever dating this person, I was again like 16, 17, 18. I feel like my parents were like always convinced that I had one, but I just never told them. I told my mom once I got into a relationship officially. Like she was the first one to know. Then my dad found out. However, it is that he found out. But yeah, like I think that's why I was like maybe hesitant to open up to them, just because they had always told me like earlier on, like you have one, you're lying to us. And then once I did, I felt weird to like talk to them about it. So I don't know. I kind of regret not being more. That talkative.
Might be a you thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. For me,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I guess that pressure, and then once I did get into a relationship, I feel like they were like surprised by it.
Even though they thought before that you had something?
I guess so. But it's like before, it's like I always denied it because it was just never true. I mean, were my parents shocked when you were dating someone? I think you literally said that you literally just came home one day and told my dad, I have a boyfriend now.
I told my dad, I was like, hey, Dad, I think I'm going to have a boyfriend soon. Kind of when I knew it was going into, they were going to be asking me soon. So I did give him the heads up, and like the next day or whatever, I was like, okay, Dad, I have a boyfriend now. So I feel like he was at the point where he's like, okay, any day now she's going to come home with the boyfriend. Or tell me she has a boyfriend, because I wasn't bringing them that soon.
Yeah. Funny thing is, that's like another thing. I think parents low-key always know that they're just waiting for you to tell them.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure my mom like had an idea before I even like told her. I don't know. What's another thing that you regret about healing?
Let me think.
Wait, let me say something, because I have something I regret doing, but I think this is something everybody does. You know when like you're in that freshly broken up phase and you're kind of like reminiscing the good times or whatever it is, I would just hurt my own feelings by thinking about, I should have done this differently, and looking at text messages and like analyzing everything like I said. I'm like, I screwed my own brain up by doing that. I feel like I was trying so hard to, not to say that I didn't have things I should have changed or done differently. I definitely did. But I think in the end, I was like hurting myself more, as if like it was that like my ex telling me like, you did this. But it was just like me screwing myself over.
I think it is good though to sometimes look back on, like reflect a little bit, just because I feel like if you don't reflect and learn from something that happened, then I feel like you're not going to fix it for the future one. So yes, to a degree, but I do agree. I think it does become more hurtful than helpful when you keep like constantly like, oh man, like could have been different if I did this different.
Yeah, especially because like you'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no point in going in the circle of what ifs. Would this have been different? Could that have happened instead? Yeah. Because, you know, if it didn't work out the first time for a reason, you know.
I mean, do you actually believe in second chances when it comes to relationships?
I do in certain criteria.
What do you mean by that? Like, let's say a couple is just like going through like small like, communication problems, and they're like, okay, let's just take a break and then come back. Or do you believe in that?
It's in like honestly, I don't believe in breaks. I'm not a big...
So it's either break up or fix it.
Yeah, either break up or fix it. And then if you break up, I do think there has to be a set time, like not just like 2 weeks, like hey, like, I thought about it.
No one changes.
And like hey, I thought about it, like blah blah blah, I'll be different, can we get back together? You know, like if you go on a break, I think it needs to, that's the thing, I don't think it should be a break. I think you should break up, reanalyze, work on yourself, fix what needs to be fixed, you know, point out those issues, you know, whatever, and then come back fresh, hopefully a better, more improved person, and then see if you guys can both rekindle things and work things out. But I think it should be the start of a new relationship, not like, okay, let's pick up where we left off, because I think that's just like you're gonna bring your baggage with you if you pick up where you left off.
I have another thing I just thought of with that, which maybe connects to it, maybe not. If anything, again, not that I would have taken a break, but I think when I was talking to my friend, like, about what was going on in the relationship, I regret not being more upfront and honest about what was actually going on. I feel like I tried sugarcoating it and making it seem that it was doing better than what it actually was. Like, I was trying to convince myself that it was going better.
Can I say something kind of on the same path as that.
Yeah.
Another thing too is you got to be careful what you tell your friends about your relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if you tell them every single, not saying to lie or to sugarcoat things or whatever, but you have to be very well aware that everything you tell your friend only knows the idea of your significant other based off what you tell them. Like, yes, obviously they can meet that person in real life and interact with him, but they're never going to interact with them or know them at the same level as you. So if you only tell them the bad things, just know that that friend's perception and idea of that person is going to be based on those things you tell them.
And let me add on to that too. If you're that friend that is always telling your friend about all the bad stuff it is your partner does or all your problems you're going through, and that friend gives you advice, but then you try to defend your partner, I need you to reflect on that. Because I'm going to say this as that friend that has been on the receiving end of hearing all the bad stuff. I'm going to either get hate for this or people are going to agree with me. Hot take. I think it is really tiring being the friend on the receiving end, always hearing the bad stuff, but then the friend never takes the advice. It's not saying that you're entitled to take it, but if I'm giving you advice that I think would genuinely help, but then you're just kind of like going back to it, not changing anything, but you're just going to keep hoping that I'm going to be your crutch and there to listen, that kind of sucks.
No, I agree. I think a friend should be supportive and all that, but I think to a certain point.
Yes, to a certain point.
Your
Don't
friend,
enable it.
Yeah, your friend isn't also, like you said, your friend isn't obligated to be like the person that, what do you call it, isn't there to be like, I don't want to say catching you, but like you said, yeah, kind of like you said, the crutch.
Yeah, like I don't want it to come off as me being hypocritical, because again, I've also been that friend. I said it earlier that I regret not listening to my friends earlier on. That's what I'm saying, but I'm able to reflect on that now. Hopefully, if I ever get to a relationship again.
That's led me to blocking a friend. Yeah. When I'm like, you know what? I'm like, you are draining me. I'm like, it's come to the point where I'm not even enjoying the friendship because I feel like it's you constantly kind of like hitting me with this is happening, and you're not. It's like you're putting up a wall with what I say. So I'm like,
then it feels like you're in the relationship. I'm like, what's going on with
and
us?
then another thing too, it's like, okay, you're gonna believe them when they tell you they're gonna fix things, but when I tell you things on how to fix it, you're not believing me.
Yeah.
Like at that point, I'm like, okay, why are you on the bad sides guy or the bad guy's side?
Yeah, it's hard out here.
So in that sense, but yeah, like I said, be careful what you tell your friends, because if you do break up and then later want to rekindle things, it just sucks dating someone that your friend doesn't like. Yeah. And like I said, if it could be with good intentions, like they might be bad for you and your friend's just looking out for you and they might not like them. Like I said, I'm not saying that your best friend and your significant other have to be best friends, but just, you want them to
give each other grace, but also be mindful is what I'm going to say. I feel like that's like the nicest way to say it.
Yeah. And just how I like to give tough love to my friends, I know that my friends are going to give me tough love. So I can't be upset when my friends are telling me things.
Absolutely. I think tough love is what actually, again, helped me heal, because once I was telling my friend the actual real stuff that happened, but post breakup, she was like, okay, well, everything makes sense now. Like it wasn't as complicated as you made it out to be, because they're seeing it for what it is and not like in the moment when you're blinded by all these other things,
And I think another thing too is be patient with your friends that are going through the healing era. God, yeah. As someone who, like, everyone heals differently. So how I might have, like, said, gone out, started dating people, whatever, my friend that's kind of like wanting to bed rot and everything, like, give them grace, and also, I don't know, like, be a good friend to somebody in their healing era, just because everyone heals a little differently.
Yeah, for sure. I think for the most part, we covered a lot. I mean, is there anything else that you regret?
I was going to say, kind of like on the tough love thing. Like I said, my friend just recently told me, I was telling her about something that was upsetting me. Mm-hmm. And she goes, hey, she's like, she's like, obviously your feelings are valid, but she was like, I think right now you're making something like maybe a bigger deal than it is. She's like, because of this other incident that you're like, I think you're seeing things with like, what'd you say?
The rose-colored
lenses. Yeah. So I'm like, it's good. Like I said, it's good to share. Also, like, don't bottle everything up. Cause like I said, sometimes your friends see things in a different perspective than you can at the time because of whatever, like I said, those rose-colored lenses or whatever's going on.
Also, what a good friend for her the way she told you, so it wouldn't come off as like you're wrong or you're doing too much or like, she validated your feelings.
Yeah. So like I said, I think it's always good I think that helps too, like having that friend that's been on both sides, and being able to give you the good advice.
Also, one more thing. If you're going to take advice from anyone in a relationship, make sure you're taking advice from people, like, not necessarily that you look up to, but you wouldn't take advice from someone who's not good in relationships or hasn't had good experiences. Make sure if you're taking advice from someone, it's because you aspire to have a similar outcome, like that's all I'm saying. I say this simply because I hate to say this, like I'm not even that old, but like I'm 22 now, and I sometimes end up talking to either coworkers or other people who are in school with me, whatever, that are slightly younger, but in that like gap between like 19 and like 24, 25, there's like a big gap of like where people are in life. So if someone's like older and is giving you advice and you're younger, just hear him out. That's all I ask. Just hear him out. Like I promise there's something that you don't know yet. You don't know everything.
Yeah, because you might be seeing things, like I said, with those rose-colored lenses, and anything that anyone says, you're just like, whatever, they don't know my story. Like they don't know my situation. Like clearly they don't know what they're talking about.
And it's not to dilute anyone's situation, but I almost promise you, if you think you are in a tough rut and you think like, oh, this is only happening to me, I promise you someone else has already lived it. And I'm not saying that it makes yours any like easy or whatever. I'm just saying someone else can already relate to it. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this discussion. It's something like we've been wanting to talk about for a little bit now.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like regardless of what we talk about, I feel like every time we talk about relationships, it kind of circulates back to like our own.
Who knows? We might listen back to this eventually when we need it. So
yeah, this could be something fun. But yeah, let us know, like I said, what you agree on, disagree on, what you do in this situation or what you've done previously.
Okay, so guys, if there's anything we missed, tell us
the chisme.
Bye.
Bye.